So, as you can see behind me, we have the play structure. Today is not a real thing, like to exclaim with a movie. Today, we're going to be learning about play structures. Essentially, it has been raining these days, so it is a kind of wet. Sometimes there might be height measures that are for safety because there might be like kids are too small for playgrounds. And also there might be things that are dangerous for little kids. As you can see these monkey bars, only do the things that you know how to do. If you can do monkey bars, if you know how to do monkey bars, you can do them. But often they are hard to do when they are wet. And you want to make sure you're safe. So when someone goes down the slide and then they haven't got off from the bottom yet, then the other person just comes and then they crash. You want to make sure you only go down when there's no one at the bottom. This playground doesn't need any measurements because there's a one for little kids, like medium kids and big kids over there. So, there is essentially, you can see from far from here, but often it is dangerous to climb up slides. Often just go down them. And do not stand on bars that are low, like that one or that one. Do not stand on them. They are very dangerous. But you can do small flips if you want, but not too big ones. As you can see, it has been raining because this slide is very wet. Recently, these are only for big kids. The babies use the steps by crawling onto them or walking. These are often for big kids to use to get up, like me. That's how big kids get up, but little kids use these. But if big kids want, they can also use these. With supplement, this is not actually something to play on. This is just so you can use your legs to reach over here, like that. Often, this is a big playground, and there is a big pool over here. Often for big kids because some little kids can't do this. If you want to see how a pool works, then just watch me. So, we have this pool. You grab 2 hands. You can use one at a time on this, one at a time, like with your feet. You jump onto it and then slide down. That's how a pool works. But if your hands are a bit sweaty, then you might get stuck. As you can see, here's what is the big slide that we were talking about earlier. This is also for big kids, but little kids like toddlers can use it. But it's often safer for them to use the small slide or medium slide. So, at the bottom here, you can see there is a bit water. So, it has been raining a lot. Now it is under this, but the water from here can drip onto the ground. So, and now we're going to talk about Now we're done by slides. We're going to talk about the ladders now. The ladders, some can be wobbly, but it's dangerous to wobble on. So often just climb up safe. But if you're having trouble doing like that, then maybe you should use the stairs instead. There is stairs over here. There is stairs here. We have been talking about these. Some people often like to slide down these, but it's very dangerous. So please never do that. And here, you have to put one feet here, and then the other feet on the other side. Some people like to climb to here, but it's actually supposed to only go to here. This is how you get up. When you get to the top, don't hold these anymore. You hold this big pole. But if you want, you can do it from here. And then get here and get to here. As you can see, I'm not going to slide down the slide because it is awfully wet. I am awfully just going to go down the stairs. But if it is sunny and the slides are dry, then you awfully can go down the slides. And now we have about these stairs you already know about, right? So we're going to go over here to this ladder. This ladder is kind of the same as this, but doesn't wobble. And also, it's made out of different things. Plastic, metal. So it's like a ladder that firefighters use, but in a playground. You see? Often do not get downstairs. Often do not get downstairs. But that stairs you can, but often these ones you cannot. Especially jumping to the ground is very dangerous. Either stepping on these, no. If you wanted to reach these, you step on these, it's still not okay. Now we have these. Over here, we have these. Actually, don't go down, but so I'm just going to get down over here. These yellow things can shock you sometimes, but it's awfully safe. As you can see, they are crossed. Their feet go in the middle where the silver bit is, and then you reach, and reach, and then reach. When you get to here, it's absolutely safer if you just step onto here instead of doing this. That is not safe. So often when you get to here, just step here. Don't do what I did. I think that's pretty much of the playground structure. Well, some playgrounds do have picnic benches and water fountains, so we're going to talk about these now. Fountains are only for drinking. Well, if the water is dirty, then you can awfully just wash your hands with it. And sometimes people like to sit down because people will take their daughters or sons to the playground, and their parents could sit here watching them. We have 2 small tables and 1 big table at this part. These are for barbecues, but actually they are getting old By the way, it is dirty inside, so we don't often use these anymore. And here you can see it tells you the name of the park. If you can read, then you can read it. But if you don't know how to read, then ask your adult. I am not going to tell you what it is because I'm just here to help you learn about playground safety. Here are trash cans. Lots of people often like to go to the playground, but sometimes there might be dirty things. So these are the trash cans. There's two, and they're actually the same. Sometimes people like to play hide and seek, but it's awfully safe not to hide somewhere dangerous. Like, I'll show you a few places that you can hide and you cannot hide. You can hide behind a tree. And you can hide in a place that has nothing scary or even anything that is not, like, if you try to hide behind this pool, it's too thick. People will just see you. Well, you can hide here, and you can see it's made out of metal. Sometimes people litter around the playgrounds. As you can see, there's a rat here. People don't often pick them up, but if you want to, you can pick it up and throw it in the trash, so it's more healthy for the environment. And just to remind you, please never litter. Littering is very bad for the environment. Here you see we have a field. It's really good for sports like tennis, kickball, badminton, like these things. I often like to play here with my dad, and we have a set of badminton. Often there can be scary animals in the bushes, so do not hide there. It is very dangerous. Behind these trees. And never throw anything across the fence because it might hit someone in the head in the other neighborhood. As you can see, the fences are not very long, but that still means you shouldn't throw anything. One time, I saw someone throw a rock or anything across. They were trying to throw it across, but it landed on the floor, not on someone's head, but the floor of the other neighborhood. You should never do that. If you see someone do that, you should tell them to never do it again. Is a stump that has been cut down. Some people cut trees down because they're too long. Often, sometimes kids like to use this, step it, and then grab the fence to see what is on the other side. But that is not allowed. So, you should never do that. But you can use this for games. You can use this for games like imagining you're flying in an airplane, but if it is raining or it's wet or something, then do not sit on it because you might get your bum wet. not step on weeds that are growing really fast. As you can see, there's weeds here. Try to not step on them because we want them to be healthy. Step in place where grass and stuff grows. Here, we are almost done. And we have some parking lots. Well, they're not for cars, they're for bicycles, scooters, or anything. If you bring your bike, or tricycle, or anything to the park, you can park it here. But if there's no more spaces, often you can lay it on the ground or somewhere that it's not blocking the way. There is lots of things to remind you about. So, I'm just going to go continue over. Some people have bikes and like to ride them down here, but if they're not really good at stopping, if you're not really good at stopping, then you shouldn't do it. It's safe to walk down, and we have more pictures over here. It's a great place to hang out with a dog, if you have one. And if you can see behind over there, it says no smoking or any of these. You can read it if you want, because I believe that is not safe. Because look, it says you're not allowed to. But if there's no line in the middle, then that means you can bring these. But if there is a line in the middle, then you shouldn't bring these. It is winter, so it's often getting cold. So we have these little leaf bushes. You shouldn't hide under them. Or even under benches. It's really dangerous. You shouldn't. Let me show you something you cannot do. Some people like to climb up the benches like this, stand up here, and jump down. But it's very not safe, so you shouldn't do it. Sometimes birds or any kind of creatures fly by, but you shouldn't chase them. They would get scared. As you can see, the leaves are waving and some creatures are in the sky. But you shouldn't chase after them. It is a cool day, so often there is no one here. Now let's learn about monkey ball safety. As you can see, if you can't reach the bar, then maybe you can try tiptoeing. If you still can't, then you can ask an adult to help you, because it's often not safe to jump because you might bruise your hands. So, you just do this. And let me show you something over here. Sometimes when you can't reach, then I like to use this. And then I step on the teensy weensy edge, but I have to be very careful. Okay, and then I just reach here, and then voila. Sometimes I can do that, but it's kind of dangerous, so you absolutely shouldn't do it. You shouldn't use these things because These things are not pools for you to slide or climb in like monkeys, but they are. But you can play around like them, like this. Or maybe you can use wood, or maybe you can pretend this is a little house of these 4 squares. And this is another room. This is another room. You could pretend that, but often it's better to just play on the structure. As I said, you shouldn't climb the slides. You shouldn't climb from inside or neither outside. By the way, it has been raining, so you can see there is some water here. Often, when slides have water at the bottom, then you shouldn't slide down them. Your parents would might get mad because they don't want your clothes to get wet. Now let's learn more about the field. So typically we have pine cones, but often do not throw them. Just leave them where they are because they can be dirty and they can also be very pokey. Saying of pokey things, we do have these spike holes, and they're very dangerous to pick up. They have really strong spikes, and you might get poked. So it's often just leave them where you found them, and we have more over here. Some are spiky, some are not that spiky. As you can see, there's lots of litter around the park. Here, we have litter there, here, there. Everyone likes to litter, but you shouldn't litter. You can climb from this side, or you can climb from the other side, but often it's safer to climb from this side, because if you climb from this side, you watch what can happen. You might lose your balance and then, whoa, you might fall down. Because it's more safe to come from the other side. Sometimes people want to try to climb on the roof, but it's very dangerous. You should never do that. We have a steering wheel over here. Often we do not use a rock to hit it. Do not use a rock to hit it, a stick to hit it. Just often use it as polite. You have to treat it nice. Because if you throw things at it, then it might break off and then people can't use it anymore. And often we do not get on top of this bar. Do not do flips here because you might fall and hit the ground. Wood chips can be sharp sometimes. We have a little thing over here. You can come ahead and come closer. We have a bar here in case people can't reach that high. You can step on this and then step again. That's the way how to get out. And sometimes cars like to park near the road, but you shouldn't hit them with anything. That is very bad. You might get in trouble if you hit the cars, and you have to pay so much money to help them fix it. And you'll have to fix it by yourself. But oftenly, there sometimes can be benches everywhere. But often there's most of the benches over here. We have a bench here. Sometimes people like to sit here, or maybe in that section over there, or maybe in these benches area. as you can see, some wood chips are sharp, so you shouldn't throw them. You see, it's really sharp. Even though it's not so sharp, then it still can be dangerous. Also, this is a perfect place to play tennis or sports because actually there's not much plants around this area. So if the balls land somewhere, it often won't squish the plants. So yeah. Over here we also have some weed things. But often it's better to not come down from here. You can come down from here, but not from the dirt. You might step on the weeds. And it's much safer to come down from the big lamp or the small lamp instead of coming down from here. There is lots of places that that often can be used and however you want, but there is rules too.
Yeah. Almost done.
You just press this button and then water comes out. You shouldn't waste it by leaving it on all the time. You should only press the button when you need it. That's how water fountain works. And do not climb the trees. Do not climb the trees. Sometimes people often like to try to climb the trees, but it's very dangerous. There is a big field right here. Some of the trees, they often just been fall. Sometimes there is like a gold fine, but you don't need, you can use a quick one if you're at a playground. And obviously, if you find something like this, it can be a part of a root. So you often shouldn't. It can poke you. Actually, we have some green grass on the tree here. Over here. If you don't know what it is, then you shouldn't touch it. But if you do know, but often still don't touch it because it can be different kind of grass or you might be allergic to it. So it's often really dangerous. So that's probably all of it. So that means that is the end. And I hope you learned all about play structure safety. So if you want to learn more about playgrounds, I'll show you in a different playground in another video. See you next time.